Okay, welcome back. Today, bread making day. Not award-winning bread making, just practical, everyday bread that I make about 3 times a week. Bread's really cheap to buy these days. It is still cheaper to make. So in self-sufficiency here, I make my own bread. But I want to make bread that is simple, that I can knock out loaf after loaf, and it never really goes wrong. Today, cooking outside, because I don't want to take my work boots off, there's too much else to do, and I can fire up the oven because it just happened to be chicken day, or chicken culling day. Keeping it simple. All I've got is, and I'll put all the amounts, is warm water here, about 360 mils of it. Now I just run my hand under the tap until it starts to fill. Oh, you should take your hand out. That's about the temperature of the water I use. Whack it in here. And I put, let's see, a tablespoon of sugar in there. And 2 of yeast. It's probably too much. The purists, the chefs and everybody will say, yeah, you're using too much. Right. Now that's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes to foam up. If you put the salt in with the yeast, it kind of doesn't work. It defeats the yeast. So put the sugar in the bowl, in the warm water with the yeast. Then you can start on your making the bread. So, yeah, it's scientific and you've got to measure everything out supposedly. So today, this is 3 cups and I'm just using a wholemeal flour. You can use plain flour. I just prefer wholemeal bread. It's probably a bit healthier, probably good for me. So, 3 flour, salt. I've got all my fancy cooking stuff here. Pinch of salt, that's probably about a level tablespoon. Now, this is not a secret ingredient, but it's an ingredient. Should I use my hand? Oh, what the hell. So I do is powdered milk. So, flour, sugar, powdered milk. Powdered milk and sugar are about the same amounts. Bit of flavour in there. And then olive oil, dash of olive oil, a couple of times round. Now let's just wait for that. It's almost starting to foam and I'll show you a close-up of what it looks like all foamed up. Okay. Ooh. Starting to get a bit windy out here. So it's all foamed up. You can see the yeast, lots of bubbles on top. Now, just pour that in there. All I do is use a knife in one of these bowls. You can use a mixer if you like. I prefer to do it by hand because I can just get a feel for it. And all I'm doing is just getting that through that really sticky part so it starts to grip together. Then it's out onto the board. Another reason for using the knife. Right. Now, this is just a bit of marble that I got at a roadside sale on top of a cabinet. Now this is going to take, and it's kind of a rule, it says the more you knead the dough the better your bread, but in this first stage I'm going to go at this for about 10 minutes. It's kind of nice out here by the lake today. We are back. You feel it, feels nice, soft, flexible. Right, all we need is, let's get back to that, the bowl I had. Oops. Bit of olive oil in the bowl. Just spread it around this so when it rises it doesn't stick to the bowl. So that goes into the bowl. You see how small it is there. Now this is what I do. Now here it's subtropics. It's like a 30 degree day today, so it's quite hot outside. Bit of Glad wrap over the bowl. Tea towel so nothing sees it. Now I'm going to leave this sit, they say, till it doubles its size. For me, even on a hot day like this, it's nice and cool here out of the sun, but it's still a hot day and it's a nice breeze. I'm going to leave that for an hour. And generally if I was doing this in winter, and it's still 12 degrees during the day, I'm still going to leave that for an hour, hour and a half. So here we are, about an hour later. Now, you can see from here that it has risen at least twice the size that it was. It was just a bowl in the bottom. So, this is when most people start to panic and go like, oh, it's all gone down, it's all gone down. And you'll see as soon as you get it out, it does. It gradually starts to go down. So that's alright, that's what it's meant to happen. So we're just going to knock a bit of more of that air out of it. And by this time, I'm really starting to get impatient anyway, and get on with the job. So I don't do any more than that. Now this time, we're going to let it rise again. A bit of oil in the bread pan. So that's pretty easy. Now this time, I'm just going to sort of give it a bit of a shape like a loaf. Stick it in that oiled pan. Just put a bit more around the lip there. Right, so there it is in the pan. This time, no Glad wrap. I'm just going to put it under the tea towel and let it rise again. Probably only going to be about another half hour this time. The fire's died right down. I'm just going to put the ashes to the back, let that kind of cool so there's no smoke in there. It still will come up with smoky flavour to the bread, but there's nothing burning in there now. And I'm just going to push it right around the edges and cool it down in the oven. This is when you might want to turn your oven on inside and just let it warm up to that heat. We'll be back when this rises again and we'll start cooking. Okay, so about half an hour, and you can check it, half an hour, and you'll see that it has risen beautifully. It's filled the whole pan now. It's ready to go. Now what I'm going to do is about 2/3 in the pan and 1/3 out of the pan. The reason I do that because I want my bread to be nice and high and that I can cut slices and make a sandwich out of, because that's generally what I have for lunch. Or I could just throw it in there on those stones and make, a nice fancy shaped loaf as it spreads out. But doing it this way, and you'll do it the same in the oven, about 20 minutes in the pan and about 10 minutes out of the pan. And it's quite acceptable to sit on the kitchen floor and watch it with a glass of wine through the oven till it goes slightly brown. That's what I did the first time, till I got the habit of trusting this method. So let's put it into the oven. We'll get it underway. Look at that, beautiful and brown. Just starting to get that hollowy sort of sound. We'll get it out of this tray now. Yeah, beautiful on the bottom. It's been 25 minutes. I'm just going to finish him off now. In there like that. Another few minutes, just harden that up. Cooking from the bottom up. Beautiful. Okay, so how do you know when it's finally ready? Well, a couple of ways. You can use your trusty stick, give it a poke, look on the skewer, bit of decorum toenail stick, nothing stuck on there. You give it a bit of a tap, and it should sound hollow, which it does. So, bread ready. Look at that, hey? Beautiful loaf of bread, nicely shaped, nice size. Yum! Oh, look at that. And how good does it smell? Easy to do bread. I'll put the recipe I use in the comments and how to cook it, both inside and outdoors. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel or come back and watch some other videos.